Welcome to another episode of Let's Dish, where I do dishes and talk to you about shit that's on my mind and current events. We're starting with laundry first because obviously why wouldn't I start my laundry while I'm doing dishes, multitask. Okay, so there's been new stuff that's come out in the Idaho 4 case, and if you've been around, you know that I've literally been burned at the stake for my opinion on this case, which I never said that Brian Kohberger was innocent. I just said that I didn't think that he could act alone and leave the damage that was left. So the whole time, something didn't add up about the time frames. It just seemed very off. They all had really crafted stories, it felt like to me. It didn't feel like anything was sincere. Or the fact that on day 4, when they interviewed Dylan Mortensen, she showed no emotion. She said, if we ever catch the guy who did this, which you don't know it was a man. I mean, she said that he walked past her. Okay, he walked past her, seen her, and let her live. That's another something weird. But let's be so for real. 4 days into your entire house being brutally unalived, and the only thing you're worried about is if we ever catch him, I want to know why did he spare me. But then when he did his plea deal, she chose not to go because she didn't want to give him any power over her. There's something deeper to that. I don't care what anyone says. If my friend was even freaking in the hospital after the 4th day, I would still be crying for them. Do I understand some people react differently? Yes. But what kind of person in their right mind hears 4 people being brutally unalive, says, oh, well, I wasn't sure if it was reality or not. I thought it might have been a dream, and didn't call the fucking cops for 8 hours, but was on her phone all night texting her dad, making Snapchat and Instagram uploads. Be so for real. It's not logical. Something else that really bothered me about her interview was the fact that she said, the only thing I could think of is that he knew me and he just didn't want to hurt me because he knew me. Duh. He probably did know you, and that's why you helped him cover it up. Duh. And be so for real, dude. When have you ever heard of somebody unaliving 4 people, leaving at least 30 to 50 wounds per victim, and he didn't have any DNA of theirs under his fingernails? Unheard of. He didn't have any defensive wounds. I'm sorry, if you're swinging a freaking K-bar around like a mini machete, you're not going to not accidentally cut yourself at least once. Now the new footage is coming out from the video footage of the house across the street, and you hear gut-curdling screams. And you hear multiple men speaking, and then you hear a girl scream, and then as she's screaming, it seems like 2 other girls are screaming simultaneously. So what was really happening behind those 4 walls? It makes no sense. Why would you not call 911? She even sent text messages like, I don't know if they're okay. With the amount of red stuff that would have been left, there's no way she didn't know. There's no way she did not know. I don't care what anyone says. There's no way that house was so small and she didn't hear it, because my dog can be in my back room and I can hear him if he's getting into something. So there's no way that they were screaming and nobody heard anything. Another thing, why is it that the footage from the King Road house didn't have any audio? And why did it feel like the timestamps were doctored? For whatever reason, they don't want people to know the exact time that any of this happened, because then what they would do is obviously go around to all the surrounding cameras, look at the areas, and they would figure out what happened. I believe that they already know, but somebody's a little tied into this, and obviously they couldn't go down, so they pinned it on BK. And who else would have known that Brian would be the perfect person to put it on, because Kaylee obviously would have confided in her roommates that she had been being stalked. The dog didn't bark one time. The dog didn't have any red stuff on him, but there was 30 to 50 wounds on each person who was unalived. And mind you, this was all done in under 15 minutes. And the cleanup. Yes, the cleanup. But now there's videos surfacing of those same people who were in the house coming out the next morning, taking out the garbage, all kinds of stuff. And apparently they had the front door and the back door wide open. You know what that would do? Clean the house out of any, bleach smells, chemical smells that somebody might have used to clean up. The fact that they said that the knife sheath was on the bed, but there were multiple police officers in the home before that never saw the knife sheath on the bed. that was planted there. You can bet your sweet ass it was. What about the fact that there was a picture of Dylan Mortensen posing with the exact same K-bar on Facebook? I mean, identical down to the same sheath. I wonder where that other sheath could have came from. Huh. Be so for real. They were like, oh, well, he had an extra change of clothes in his car. Okay, don't plenty of people leave extra clothes in their car? I have jackets in my car, all kinds of stuff in case something happens. The thing is, they knew that Brian was kind of a weirdo, but just because somebody's a freaking weirdo doesn't mean that they brutally unalived 4 people, especially if there's no evidence. Then they had the nerve to say, well, he was watching a Ted Bundy documentary, so he must be obsessed with him. I've watched every Ted Bundy documentary there is, and that doesn't mean I'm obsessed with him. I just like knowing how people's brains work. This entire time we were told that Maddie was in the house, okay? Now all of a sudden it's coming out that Maddie wasn't there from the time frame that they're saying that all of this happened. So why would you lie and say that you guys both hid in the bedroom together if she wasn't there at the time? Then there's like those new texts that are coming out that the Jack guys were running some weird Fight Club ring. And supposedly Ethan was one of the guys who fought that night. But we never heard anything else about that either. If we've learned one thing about Brian Koberger, it's that he didn't feel like he felt like he fit in. So that makes me wonder, did they use that to their advantage and call him in the middle of the night? I mean, she was in the house. She would have had access to Kaylee's phone. What if she got online and hit him up on Messenger or something? I mean, obviously that would show in the phone records, but for whatever reason, they don't want us to see any of those phone records. Who's to say that they didn't lure him there? And then in one of the new audios, you can literally hear a girl by the doorbell that says, Brian's here. It's giving setup, and I don't care. You guys can say whatever, but there's no freaking way that all of this happened and there was no evidence left behind. Why did they get rid of the house so soon? There were 4 people unalive. There are crime scenes that are still up to this day, but they had to get rid of that house right away. Isn't that strange? Because if my child was unalived, I would be highly upset at the fact that they demolished that house before anyone had a chance to see anything. And they keep saying that Bethany holds exculpatory evidence, meaning that she has some kind of key that would actually lead to Brian's freedom. But for whatever reason, obviously, they don't want that to get out. And now, apparently, she got subpoenaed to testify. Her lawyer fought it, but then she decided that she will testify, but she doesn't want to go back to Idaho because she's scared she'll go to jail. If they caught the killer, Bethany, why would you be scared to go back to Idaho if he's locked up? And it just doesn't make sense, because if that were me, I would want my 5 minutes in front of him to confront him and say what I had to say about him unaliving all of my friends. Just saying. Or the fact that they were like, Bethany's been heartbroken over this. I mean, Dylan's been heartbroken over this. She doesn't leave her bedroom, and then somebody ironically leaks photos of her out partying with all of her friends, just smiling, having a great time right after all of this happened. All I know is if it talks and acts like enough, it's not a cow or a pig. So who was it? Who was it that helped with this? Because there's no way that one person did all of this. It's giving that it was multiple people, and Brian took the fall for you guys, which maybe he did come, but in my opinion, I think if he did anything, he was probably the cleanup guy, because we know that he was very anal OCD. So I don't believe it. You didn't have any DNA. The way that they found him anyways and went to his parents' house gave very strange. The traffic stops right before that he got pulled over for. Nothing adds up in this case, so I'm going to do a little bit more research. I'm sorry this was so long. I'm going to try to speed it up for you guys. I do love you guys very much, and let's just pray that the truth comes to light, because something happened that night on 1122 at 1122 King Roadhouse, but we might not ever get the real truth at this point, so let's pray that we do, because if not, there's an innocent man or a partially innocent man who didn't act alone in a prison system for the rest of his life. Love you, bye.